Hello, welcome to my devlog series. Before I start the video, I want to remind you that I opened a Discord server. Come by and say hello. I post frequent updates and information about the upcoming videos. Last Friday I started thinking about the game's story and background. I really like the idea of the pet being an octopus. But first I needed to try some things on Unity, so I can be sure that I can pull this off. I wanted to create the tentacles of the pet using Unity's bone and skinning systems. I didn't know how to use neither of those, so I searched for tutorials. Blackie's Come to Rescue with an awesome video. I will leave a link in the description. It turned out to be a fairly simple tool, and soon I had animated tentacles. I think it doesn't look so bad, right? It's not pixel art, but I think it will give an interesting effect to the tentacles. For moving the tentacle in a natural way, I needed to create inverse kinematics. I decided to go with a chain type IK solver because the tentacle have a lot of bones. All I had to do is create an empty object, put it on the tip of the tentacle and create a target. Now, if I move this target, the tentacle follows up. I messed up the pixel per unit ratio, so I had to fix some things, but luckily, I didn't lose any work. Later I tested the tentacle in-game, but it had no animations and looked really static. Using Unity's animator I created a small idle animation for the tentacle. I just had to animate the IK target to generate a natural movement. I wanted two tentacles to stick out, so I duplicated the one I had animated, but this had a problem. The bottom of the tentacle was in the wrong position, so I had to find another solution. I tried flipping the sprite to create a mirror effect. Sadly, this didn't work either, as the bones got mirrored as well and the IK wasn't working properly. So I decided to create a brand new tentacle. This way it looked right and gave me the freedom of animating it differently from the other tentacle. This was the result. The next day I spent the morning with family. We built this Scalextric track for my nephew and had a great time. In the afternoon I started drawing some concept art about the story of the game. The days I made with the tentacles convinced me to go with an octopus as the pet of the player. But I needed a background story and a reason for the player for taking care of that octopus. I wanted to draw digitally these concepts. Searching for a free digital art program, I found Krita. Krita is a great tool and completely free. It comes with a great number of brushes and has a comfortable workflow. You will have a link in the description if you want to take a look. So I started drawing the player character and the octopus pet. I will tell you about the story later. It's been a while since I last drawn anything, so I got a little carried away and spent too much time doing it. I thought about this character. She's the player's older sister, in charge of defending the land they live in. She has a serious personality and unbreakable will, acts as his brother's teacher and only companion. She might be severe with the player's character, but she will do anything to keep him safe. So here's the story. In a steep mountain, brother and sister live guarding an ancient creature. This creature is a giant octopus. The people in the region seem to think that this is a god. Every day, visitors come with offerings, feeding the creature and seeking for his guidance. Although guarding the creature is more an honor than a real task, the sister takes her job really serious. No one dared to attack the creature, at least for the past few years. But one day, the boy discovers something. The creature had laid eggs, and suddenly a scream echoed from the place. A giant eagle came, rushing through the wind. It attacked the octopus and stole the eggs. Full of anger, the supposed god chased the eagle down. Bravely, the sister followed the giant octopus to give her assistance in battle. The boy tried to keep up the persecution, but something made him stop running. A solitary egg had fallen from the eagle's talons. Fearing that the little octopus inside the egg had died from the fall, the boy approached the egg. A small octopus emerged, crying in despair. The boy decided to take care of the little creature and search for his sister. She could be in danger. And that's the story. What do you think? Leave a comment with your ideas. After having a story in place, I started creating the pet's sprites. At first, I made the critter clinging to the player's back, but that looked weird. So I gave him a basket to carry the little octopus. This way will look more natural. I finalized an idle frame for all 8 directions. Then I jumped back into Unity to create the animation for the idle state of the creature. I had to modify the pet controller script I made for the prototype. It managed the pet's position depending on the player's direction. Now the position is set in the sprite itself, so I don't need the system anymore. I also needed to manage the sorting order of the pet and the player. Here is a test without updating the sorting order. I will need to put the pet behind the player when he's facing down, down east and down west. For the rest of the cases, the pet should be drawn in front of the player. At first I didn't update the sorting order at the start of the level, which led to a strange clipping. But, with a small adjustment, it was working correctly. Here is the result. As you can see, it was really static at this point. I needed to create animations for the pet. The idle state will be a static frame for now. So I jumped back into a sprite and started working on these animations. I would like the octopus to feel light, as at this point it's just a baby. It will be grabbing the basket as it bounces up and down. I added alter animations to the animation manager. Each walk animation have 8 frames, but to speed things up I mirrored some animations. So in total I only have to make 5 animations. Next I organized the animation layout for easier debugging and bug fixing. I needed to add some functions to the pet controller. They will be in charge of changing the pet's animations. This function will be accessed from the player controller, telling the pet when to change the animation. I forgot to turn down the animation speed of the pet, and this was the result. Maybe the player shouldn't feed it with sugar. After adjusting the speed, this was the result. With this, I can close the pet animation task, walking and idle states. For the time I had left this week, I would like to fix an issue from the last episode. The grabbing mechanic was working, but I needed to tweak the code to resize the collider. The idea is to combine the width of both colliders, the objects and the players, when grabbing the object horizontally. For the height, I will use the highest of the 2 colliders. When the player grabs the object vertically, the dimension will swap. I made a test to see if this approach worked. As you can see, the collider resizes correctly, but depending on the position of the player it can be wrong place. So I needed another function, one that would place the player in a correct spot after grabbing an object. Again, depending on the direction of the player, this will vary. If he was grabbing an object horizontally, he will be placed in the midpoint of the height of the collider. However, if he was grabbing an object vertically, the position will be in the midpoint of the width of the collider. The player's collider resizes to fit the grab object. With this issue fixed, I finished my week and started working on this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing. I'll post every Friday my progress of the game. And if you want more frequent updates, check the description for the Discord server and other social sites. See you next week!